Learn the latest news post-match after yesterday's draw vs Spurs, as now Thomas Tuchel is being investigated for his comments made after the game by the FA. And moving on to end things, let's discuss the latest breaking news surrounding Anthony Gordon, as surprisingly, we are looking to make attempts to sign the player before the window ends. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. There are going to be more videos coming out today, so keep those notification buttons on. Stay tuned, hope you enjoy, and getting straight into the video. Obviously, we need to start things off by discussing the latest news surrounding Thomas Tuchel and this FA investigation. But I think for me, before I can break the story down, let's hear some of the quotes in particular from our manager first.
I don't think that some of the fans think that. I can assure you that the whole dressing room of us, every single person thinks that, and I cannot understand how the first goal is not offside, and I cannot understand since when players can be pulled by their hair, stay on the pitch, pull other people's hair, stay on the pitch and attack in the last corner. This is for me without any explanation, and I don't want to accept it. You know, the players, they know what's going on, and then they're on the pitch and they know it, and again it's like this.
Are they worried when this is referee takes
of course.
Now for me, and for many of you guys who just watched this, these are completely justified comments to make after some of the incredible decision making made by the referee and his team in yesterday's game. And I think the most controversial incident out of them all was the incident involving Cristian Romero pulling Cucurella by his wig and yanking him to the mud. That was investigated, that was reviewed, and the outcome was there are no specific rules in the Premier League that suggest that hair pulling is against the rules, which for me is just wow. I mean, I really don't know where to start with that one. And if that's how we're playing the game now, then I'm sorry, by this weekend, throughout the entirety of the Premier League, I have to see every other team now taking advantage of this loophole in the law, because it seems like they're using this loophole as justification to not do the morally correct thing. You know, this is about keeping the fairness of the game. So if this is part of the rules now, I guess every player in their wig needs to watch out right now, because it seems like you're more than valid now to be pulling and making tackles by grabbing your opponent by the hair. So I guess we have to get used to playing a new way of playing football in the Premier League this season. Now you'd assume after seeing the incident of a player grabbing an opponent, that amount of force to throw him to the floor with one hand, that this would be the clearest 4K example of violent conduct, but it seems like that isn't the reality. And for me, I'm not really surprised by the outcome of the decision making, because this is my own personal thing, yeah, but I look at the world today, I look at how unjust it is, I look at how a lot of people who are at the top end of the hierarchy, the people that have the influence, the people that make the decisions, wow, a lot of these guys really are not suited for the positions they hold. And unfortunately, you know, the poor outcomes made by the smallest minority and groups of these people that are put in these places continue to be the wrong thing that have terrible long-lasting effects. And I'm sorry, all these guys on the boards are old men. And this is like the thing I see across the world now, you guys. Every old granddad is in positions of power. You know, they're not keeping up with the times whatsoever. They don't care as much when you've been doing this job for years and years and years. And it's typical of people in positions of power that continue to abuse that power they have, as they found a way to never be held to accountability. It's getting ridiculous. If we cast our minds back a handful of years, there was an incident between Fellaini and Robert Hu, where literally an example is already created of punishment being dished out due to Robert Hu grabbing the hair of Fellaini. I think we all remember that. Now the fact that fast forward into the future, that same incident is now deemed okay, for me, the only logical conclusion I can come to is that this is purely political. This is purely marketing. I mean, ideally, I guess they don't want any backlash to be faced to the referees just once the Premier League is starting again, especially when it's the same Anthony Gordon that continues to make the same decisions that cost us in games over consecutive seasons. All Tuchel is simply doing is holding these guys to accountability. And the moment you try to hold any of these groups to accountability, the deflective tactics kick into place. And of course, they want to quickly dish out a punishment, knowing that the punishment really won't affect Tuchel, because this is a league full of multi-millionaires. And for me, the main goal is to just sweep this entire incident under the rug and to move on. But as I tweeted before, if this same thing happened to Liverpool, if this same incident happened to Mohamed Salah, for example, this incident would be played out for the entire month, and I promise you, you'd be getting a completely different outcome from the FA over this incident. So right now, let's end things by discussing the massive developments surrounding a very surprise transfer target in Anthony Gordon of Everton. Now, this story was first broken live on Sky Sports, who confirmed that we had a bid rejected, and this story was further supported by big journalists like Matt Law, Romano, plus many other big media outlets in the UK. We have confirmation now that this is a very legit story, and recently we had an opening bid of around 40 million that was rejected. Everton have consistently said that they want around 50 million before releasing the player and selling him, and some rumours have been surfacing now on social media stating that an opening bid of around 25 million plus add-ons would potentially take the value of this overall deal to around 42 million, but it seems like Everton will want a lot more money, and potentially we're hoping that we can offer a player in exchange to bring the overall value down. Now, some of the players being linked with a possible swap exchange to Everton are Armando Broja, Conor Gallagher, and naturally these two will of course come up considering Everton have shown very public interest over the availability of both players. However, other guys like Billy Gilmore, Michy Batshuayi and Ross Barkley have also been mentioned, but in the case of Barkley it seems like no one wants him at this point in time. He's on incredible wages. Michy Batshuayi seems a little bit realistic at this point in time because Everton do need a number 9 now, and for me I'd be very surprised if either one of Broja or Gallagher left to go to Everton. In the case of Broja, it seems like he is currently now negotiating for a new contract, and he has been coming off the bench consistently now, so for me, he should fight for his spot. I think it's the same thing now for Conor Gallagher. Knowing that Kovacic and knowing that Kante are now at the team gives you a great opportunity now to win over the manager, to take advantage of this opportunity, so I'd be very surprised if either one of these guys was involved in a swap exchange deal. Still, it's kind of crazy to think that if by the end of this window, if we secure your Frenkie De Jongs, Aubameyangs and Anthony Gordon, potentially we spend around 400 million in one window, which is one of the biggest we've ever done in our history. Now, some reports have suggested that one of the main reasons behind why Anthony Gordon is being targeted is that Tuchel has been looking for this elusive right wing back throughout the entirety of this window, and due to the player's profile and some of the certain metrics he shows in this game, I'm assuming that there's some logic behind the scenes where maybe he could be converted to becoming more of a wing-back option, considering that wing-backs is a very fluid type of role. So I could see the common sense behind a move like this. So I guess ultimately, if we are to sign Anthony Gordon, we'd have to hope that Everton accept one of the players being offered in exchange. So I guess right now, to end things, I gotta give some of my personal thoughts and opinions behind this move. And I want to give a quick disclaimer, and that disclaimer is, these are my personal thoughts and opinions. I'm not expecting all you guys to just blindly agree with anything I say, and to be honest, you shouldn't be blindly agreeing with anything any content creators state. For me, it adds to the discussion, the debate, and that's the most important thing for me. So you can take what I say, and you guys don't have to listen to any of it, and you're more than entitled to do so. But in my opinion, one of my first initial reactions, hearing about the money that we could potentially spend to get this deal over the line, I think to myself, I look at the market, I see someone like Gabriel Jesus who would have been incredible for us. You guys know how much I wanted to sign him during this window. And knowing the fact that 50 mil could have got you Gabriel Jesus and 50 mil can now get you Anthony Gordon, it doesn't seem to make too much sense for me, considering that Gordon would be ultimately a player being built up to be competition for that right wing back spot alongside Reece James and Loftus-Cheek. And for that amount of money, I can't imagine him ever justifying those types of fees, knowing the fact that he is being signed to be competition in wing-back roles. And I'm not too sure, of course, the guy does have talent. He got 4 goals last season, got 2 assists. I'm not here to write him off and say he's not good enough. But I guess my thing's always been that when you want to play here, knowing that the way we play is completely different to Everton. Everton play a lot more open games naturally because they're a more mid-table team. We play against teams that mostly just sit back and park the bus. Yesterday was testament to the type of opponents that we constantly face. And when you have these types of opposition, it means that the game is completely different, and maybe you need to see other skill sets in a player's game to justify making the moves for them. Now, Anthony Gordon is known for his work rate. He's an incredible presser, very willing, very tenacious, very brave as well too. And we know that Tuchel loves to have high working, high pressing players. Now on top of that too, he does possess decent technique. I'm not going to deny his game. He's quite good with his dribbles, he's quite direct as well too. He is able to fill in multiple positions, across the team. And I think that comes down to his aptitudes and his mentality. And I guess I could understand the club's thinking behind this. Of course, he's quite young, he's quite moldable. And of course, there's more justification to overspend for someone like Anthony Gordon, knowing that he has maybe a higher potential ceiling compared to spending like 40 mil on Dumfries, who's kind of capped at his current level. Still though, I do have some question marks around this move, because I personally feel like if I was Anthony Gordon, I'm remaining under Frank Lampard to level up my game a lot more, because there's still a ton more work that is needed in his game. And when you come here, you won't get afforded that luxury as simply as that. Of course, this season he has been playing more as a false 9, because Everton currently are lacking a number 9 due to injuries, and it's not necessarily going to reflect the best qualities of his game, and he's only playing there for tactical reasons. But I guess at the same time, knowing that you've got Gray and Dwight McNeil on the flanks, you like to think that one of your best wingers, if he is your best winger, would still be playing in his best position regardless of injuries in the team. And I guess this is where some of my issues come down to the player. I think that he's still quite raw in a lot of the things he does, in things like the decision making in the final third, and things like the finishing as well, in terms of his hold up play and like keeping the ball as well too. But at the same time, with how he actually plays, it's like a very like direct style winger. I feel like he could maybe translate into becoming more of a wing back over the years if he does continue to grow and improve his game as time goes on. But still though, sometimes it's like the principle of these moves kind of gets to me a little bit. Some of you guys might not like this comparison, but I look at someone like a Harvey Vale. Currently, it seems like he's probably set to be leaving on a free at the end of the season, because he isn't signing a new contract yet, unless maybe new contract talks do come up. But then you can see why this consistently happens, because we'd rather feel that confidence in someone like an Anthony Gordon, who's only had one major breakout season last season. And for me, it brings up these memories of when I was a kid trying to get a part-time job working in retail. You know, I'm sure you guys can relate to this a lot too. I was constantly getting rejected because I lacked work experience, even though the role is not demanding whatsoever. So to keep things real with you guys, I got that job in the end. Why? Because I lied on my CV saying that I had that experience. And I had to do that to be able to get where I had to be. Part of me just thinks that if Harvey Vale was at Everton currently, I'm sure he'd be doing a lot better, be getting a ton of hype right now. We can't forget that alongside Chukwuemeka, he was one of England's best under-19 players that won that tournament as well. And it just feels like he's been training with the first team for a long time. He can play down both flanks, he scores a lot of goals, his body build is really physical right now. And it's just like these guys will still be underlooked and undermined, so we can overspend, and I really mean this, overspend dramatically on players that really haven't proven themselves enough, in my personal opinion. I mean, we're hearing rumours that maybe Brower potentially may still want to get a loan move. Conor Gallagher may still want to get a loan move, considering that he wants to win his spot in the England World Cup team. And it's just like these guys all had better personal seasons compared to Gordon last season, and they cost us absolutely nothing because this academy produces Prem ready-made players. For me, it's always been this year. Use the academy for certain positions that we need squad options for, and spend the real big money on your big boy signings, your upgrade signings. For me, even if you don't want to hold on to certain guys like this for a while, at least keep them for one season, knowing that you are more than happy to do that with Malang Sarr and Trevor Chalobah last season, and it didn't really affect anything we did, knowing that maybe in the next window in January or next summer, then we can really spend money on top signings and top targets, because that's what Man City and that's what Liverpool do. Man City waited for Haaland. They weren't desperate when they didn't get him. Liverpool do this all the time to great effect. It manages that waste. And as we know as Chelsea fans, if a player doesn't level up and succeed, he's on high wages and he becomes incredibly hard to move on because his transfer value falls dramatically. We've seen this every single season now for like 5 years. Personal one, and it's only my opinion. You know, if we're going to go for anyone and everyone now, someone like Kyle Walker-Peters is a lot more attractive to me right now. Even like a move for Lamptey. I know he had that bad injury, he's come back, but you'd probably get him for a bargain price. You know what he can do with his 1v1 dribbling. He knows the club, he can play wing back excellently. He makes a lot more sense knowing that at least, you know, this is his role and he won't cost as much money as an Anthony Gordon. I mean, I don't know, he is talented, but even from Everton fans, the general consensus I'm getting from them is that they're more than happy to sell him for the fees being commanded so they can reinvest that money in their squads. They think he's talented, but they don't think he's that amazing that they have to reject any price for him to maintain him in the team, knowing that currently with Lampard's 3-5-2 system and 3-4-3 system, there's no real proper role for Anthony Gordon. So I find it quite interesting. I guess I need to keep an open mind, but that's my personal thoughts and opinions. You guys share your honest, authentic opinions in the comments below. And on that note, I'm Nini FC, this is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.